Senator Schatz.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. Thank you, Secretaries, for your willingness to testify before the committee. Just one comment on the question of border security, and this is mostly for my Republican friends, but also maybe for the Secretaries. Look, I think there is one theory of the case that says once we get into an immigration and border conversation, that the sort of old John Kerry aphorism, nothing is agreed to until everything is agreed to. That's not my point of view. I just wanted to lay that out there. It's not that I necessarily agree with what's being proposed by Republicans, but I do believe we should look for incremental improvements that can be executed in a 10-day or 6-week legislative time frame. And if we take Senator Graham at his word that he is trying to land a supplemental that, at least to some degree, hinges on a good faith effort on the border, we also have to understand that we're going to have to do this in chunks, and that in the context of an emergency security supplemental, there may be some changes. I don't know what it's going to be, and I'm not prepared to negotiate over the dais. I'm also not one of the key negotiators, but I just wanted to give you a flavor for, look, I think we're going to have to do some small things, and we can't say we can't do anything until we do everything. I just think that's not a tenable position, given the political configuration of the Congress and what we need to accomplish in the next 6 weeks. So, Secretary Mayorkas, back to my singular abiding concern, Maui. As you know, the wildfires destroyed Lahaina town and displaced about 11,000 people and destroying more than 3,000 property, the majority of which were rental housing. So the problem, first of all, FEMA's been great. FEMA has been extraordinary. And we put some money into the DERF to allow them to operate and provide resources. The problem that we have right now is timing. The burn zone is still not cleared. The EPA is doing good work with the Army Corps and others. It's going to be a year and a half total before those properties are even rebuildable. And even in an accelerated time frame, that means 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 years before these units are back up online, and that depends on individual property owners making choices that benefit some of the rental unit population. So a lot of people are going to be forced to leave Maui. I mean, that's just a fact. Should the federal government help disaster survivors stay in their communities?
Senator, I believe that the answer is yes. That we should try to do everything possible to rebuild, restore, and prove the resiliency of a community. The challenge in Maui has been quite unique because of its situation, as you well know, better than do I, as an island. And so there was initially the need to remove the hazardous material. Then, as you correctly note, there's the debris removal, which will be time-consuming because of the geographic and other challenges that the island confronts. But I do believe in devoting resources and energy to the rebuilding of a community rather than solely an exodus from it.
Okay, thank you. And we're, again, the FEMA people on the ground are excellent, but the thing that is causing me additional anxiety is that when they do their analysis, they have spreadsheets of how many people are currently being rehoused in hotels or in the long-term rental market or in the short-term rental market. And these numbers are dropping not because we are rehousing people in a more permanent situation, but because people are leaving the island. And I just wanted to flag that for you as a bad outcome. It is different than when you live on the continent and God forbid something happens to your town, and you can take your FEMA money and find a place. You can put your stuff, if you have stuff remaining, and drive someplace and enter a new rental market or purchase a new home with your insurance money or with individual assistance money or whatever you were able to scrounge together. That is just not an option in West Maui, and I just wanted to flag that for you. And you and your department and FEMA have been extraordinarily flexible and responsive, but I don't want the memory of the fire itself to fade to the point where we fall back into normal bureaucratic positions and fail to recognize that Hawaii is the most isolated, heavily populated place on the planet. West Maui is even more isolated and even more expensive. And so as we think about helping these people to rebuild, it is not a matter of giving them a voucher and allowing them to fly to the mainland. And I appreciate your continued attention to this.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy.
Mr. Secretary and Mr. Secretary.